What's up YouTube? It's Winfrey coming back at you with another video, and today what we're going to be doing is walking through the 5 steps to make a competitive theme team in Madden 21. Anybody can build a pure theme team. That's not what I'm talking. I'm not talking about a pure theme team. I'm talking about how are you going to make a 50 out of 50 theme team that competes. What's the most efficient way to do that so you maintain your 50 out of 50 but you can still do everything that you want to do on the field? I'm going to walk you through the 5 things that I did as I was building my team, and hopefully it'll help you be able to build a 50 out of 50, know the direction you want to take it with the Falcons, with any team. This is going to work for you with any team. It's just general principles on how you're going to walk through this and make the best team possible with your 50 out of 50. So before we get into it, I want to ask you to please, if you haven't already, to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing helps more than you'll ever know. And when you subscribe and when you like and when you comment, it pushes my content to more people. So that's how I'm gonna grow, but I need your help to do that. So if you enjoy the content so far, if you enjoy this video, subscribe, drop a like, comment down below, and let me know what you want to see in the future. Let me know what you thought of the video, and I'll be more than happy to do whatever it is that y'all want in the future, and see how this thing goes. But like, comment, and subscribe. With all that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop into these tips. So the first tip, and this is going to be very, very simple, very, very easy, but it's absolutely necessary, is to use your free chemistry slots. When I say your free chemistry slots, I'm talking about many things, but we'll start by talking about your head coach, your light and dark uniforms, and your stadium under your team strategy tab. You need to be under your team strategy tab to do this. You can get all these players very, very simply. It'll just cost you 1,000 training. What you do is you go over to the store, go to the training tab, and on this page here, you'll see base light uniform, base dark, base stadium, and base coach, each for 250 training. You buy this pack, scroll to your team, obviously pick your team, and then when you put it in your team strategy in your lineup, it will have your team chemistry. So that's the first thing I mean. The rest of the things I'm talking about when I'm talking about free chemistry slots is, 1, your team diamond. The Falcons is Roddy White. He gets ×3 Falcons chemistry. He'll always be on my team. For your team, it's going to be a different person, but for the Falcons, it's Roddy White. Secondly, Muttmaster Sam Mills, make sure you're putting your team chemistry on this card. You could be forgetting about it. You could have put a random card chemistry on them, so make sure you put your team chemistry on this card. Third, Andre Johnson, Level Master Andre Johnson. Again, that's just another free chemistry slot. He does have to be in your lineup, but again, it's a free chemistry slot with a free card, even if you haven't upgraded him once all year long. And then lastly, which is the biggest in my opinion, is your team captain. I have Leroy Glover, who's actually a good usable card, but I have Falcons chemistry on him, and as you can see, I have ×4 on him. This is so huge because if you do all of this, the 4 things under team strategy, the 1 from Sam Mills, the 1 from Andre Johnson, the 3 from your team diamond, and the 4 from your team captain, that is 13 chemistry slots you've already filled, and you haven't even began building your team yet, which is absolutely massive. So you'll be at 13 out of 50 and you haven't even began building your team. This is absolutely essential to do if you want to build a theme team in Madden 21. Alright guys, the second thing you're going to want to do, and I'm not actually going to be able to show you this on my screen, but it's very, very simple. It's very, very easy to do. You're going to go to Google, and whatever team you're trying to do, say just the Falcons, you're going to type in Falcons theme team Madden 21. And one of the first links to come up should be a link to a website called Mutthead. I'm sure most of you have already heard about it. But it'll be to someone who's already pre-made the whole Falcons theme team, or again, whatever team you search, and with every single position filled, starter and backup, and the situation like running back, 3rd string. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a list of all those players, go on the auction house and buy every single one of them. And you're going to make a pure theme team. You're going to buy every single one and fill up your whole entire team to make them all Falcons or whatever. And then you're going to go down here and you're going to see how many of those you have, so you know how much room you have. But the second thing simply is to make sure you build your offense and defense with every single player, every single position, And also your special teams. Don't forget about your kicker and punter, because this is 2 chemistry slots, and thankfully we have a focus kicker in Morton Anderson. My punter is absolutely god-awful, but I don't punt a ton, so it doesn't really matter. But you want to make sure you're filling in your offense, defense, special teams with every single possible player for your team, on your team. And that website is going to help you do that tremendously. Type it into the search bar and then fill in every single player on your depth chart. All right, guys, the third tip is where it gets a little tricky. The third tip is where we're going to begin filling in the holes of your team. But it's not as simple as just putting people where you want to put them. You need to do it with strategy. And you need to prioritize different positions first. We'll explain more in a moment what that means. But you want to start filling in the holes. So once you've built your team, you'll be able to come over here and see how many players you have, how many slots you have. So for example, if you're at 57 out of 50, that means you have 7 spots to spare in your offense and defensive tabs, which is important to note. But the things you want to be filling up first are your quarterback, your free safety, and your offensive line. Your quarterback, your free safety, and your offensive line. So once you have a good quarterback, the Falcons have obviously Vic and Brett Favre, so I don't need to fill in anyone there. You have your good quarterback, you can check that off the list. I actually use a sub on my free safety spot. That's where I fill one of my holes with Calvin Johnson. So I got him, used him. That's one of my spots. Check that off the list. And then I have my whole O-line is non-Falcons. So that's checked off the list. Once you've done those 3 things, then you can begin filling other positions. That's when I put Isaiah Simmons at strong safety, Rod Woodson at cornerback, Bobby Wagner at MLB 4. That's when you begin filling in those positions. But the 3 main ones you want to focus on as you're filling in the holes on your offensive and defensive tabs are quarterback, free safety, and O-line. That's extremely huge, and then you can fill in the rest until you're down to 50 out of 50. I'm actually at 51 out of 50 right now, simply because there's not any cards that I need, and I'm just going to save that one slot until a card comes out that I want to use, maybe a cornerback like Rod Woodson, because AJ Terrell will be outdated soon, or anything like that. That's the only position I can see, maybe a defensive lineman. But that's what you want to do, is fill in your quarterback, free safety, and O-line. All right, guys, tip number 4 is along those same lines, but it gives the explanation to why you're filling in those positions first. Tip number 4 is to fill up your specialist tab with extra players that you want to use that aren't Falcons or aren't whatever your team is. So once you've done your offensive and defensive, you should be down to around 50 out of 50. I would probably say most people are going to be right at 50 out of 50 because there's holes that need to be filled. Once you do that, if there's still a position that's weak, so say for example, I've done all of my holes, but I'm still have a really weak running back core, but I have no more room to put a running back in, hypothetically. You come over to your specialist tab and you can put in, say, Sean Alexander or Bo Jackson as your 3rd down running back and your power back. What this is going to do is it's going to make it to where when you get in game, they're not contributing to that 50 out of 50 or to your other chemistries, but you will be able to sub them in. For example, one person on my team like this, and again, he doesn't have to be like this, but he is, just because I have no need to put him in the actual lineup because I'm at 51 out of 50 and I have extra slots, is Ted Hendricks. As you can see on my team, this Ted Hendricks, there's X's over each of his chemistry slots, but that doesn't mean he doesn't get them. It means he's not contributing to the total overall of them, if that makes sense. As you can see, he's getting the +2 speed, +2 excel, all the pluses in coverage and things like that, but he's not contributing to the total 50 out of 50 for lockdown, even though he is still getting them. So there's no harm in that, in putting him here. But the reason you want to do quarterback, free safety, and O-line first is because, as you can see, every other position has a slot where it can be subbed in here. Running back, receiver, if you want to use one, you can use up to 2 receivers that aren't your theme team in slot wide receiver 1 and slot wide receiver 2, up to 2 cornerbacks, and then up to 6 D linemen. You don't need that, but realistically 3 or 4 D linemen that you wanted to use. And then a sub linebacker, you can use linebackers, but you can use strong safeties. You can't sub a free safety in at sub linebacker, but you can put strong safeties at sub linebacker. So that's why you want to do quarterback, free safety, and O-line first. Once you've done that, once you've gotten down to 50 out of 50, you're like, man, there's still a hole in this position. I need to go fill it with this person. This is the person that I want to fill it with. For the sake of having that player but maintaining my 50 out of 50. This is the biggest way, it's kind of a loophole in making that godly 50 out of 50 theme team that doesn't have any holes. When you first make your theme team, you're going to have to be kind of scratching the surface. But with me right now, I'm sitting at 51 out of 50 with every hole filled, mainly because my offense, I have every receiver I need, running back, quarterback, tight end. I have all the D linemen I need, but in the future, I'm going to need to take away that one that's there in order to put whatever I need on the D line, if I need to put a sub here or whatever that may be. But I still have that one, so I'm not looking to change my specialist tab at all right now. What I'm going to do first is take away that one from the 51 out of 50 for the sake of filling in my actual offensive defense. And the specialist tab is going to be like your last resort. Because you have to remember, even though you have the specialist tab, if you look in the top right, you'll see you're only allowed 55 players on your team, and those slots will fill up fast. Those slots will definitely fill up fast, and that's what makes it so complicated. So you want to do your offense, defense, and first, and then if you have 2 or 3 extra players you want to use in specialists, you can definitely do that. So right now I have a total of 5 players that I can use. 1 here, 3 there, and then I actually have Bobby Wagner here just sitting in my lineup for the sake of chemistries. But you want to make sure you're making the most of your specialist tab as you build your team. All right, guys, the last tip I have for you guys does actually revolve around someone like Bobby Wagner, and it's not going to be able to apply in a ton of positions, but it's to fill up your roster with high elites for chemistries if you have extra slots. I did have Bobby Wagner and Avery Williamson here because before Keanu Neal came out, the Falcons only had 2 middle linebackers, including Sam Mills. It was just Deion Jones and Sam Mills, and that was it. So instead of having an empty MLB3 and MLB4, I put in Bobby Wagner and Avery Williamson and put on ×3 lockdown and sprinter on each so that I could meet the thresholds for the 50 out of 50 and the 40 out of 40 for sprinter. Now, as you can see, I obviously don't need that, so I might as well take Bobby Wagner out of the lineup, have the extra slot, and to still be at 50 out of 50 lockdown and sprinter or whatever. But there's not going to be, again, a ton of positions where you can do this because middle linebacker is the only position that's super deep, apart from a place like cornerback or receiver. But most teams aren't lacking in, elites and golds at cornerback and receiver. So this is a last resort if you have room at maybe fullback. The Falcons only have 1 fullback, but I wanted to save the slot. I didn't need the chemistry. So fullback, middle linebacker are probably the 2 places that you're going to have the most ability to do this. Maybe if you don't have any backup linemen, or if you only have 1 lineman on your team in a certain position or whatever. But this is, again, last resort. And this is the last thing you want to be doing. That's definitely the least important. But yeah, guys, that's the 5 things for making your theme team. When I made my theme team originally, it probably took me about 3 hours to do, and I was already at 25 out of 50. But when I decided to go full 50 out of 50, it took me about 3 hours to figure everything out. Hopefully this gives you some guidance, some clarity, and it'll cut that time down a ton for you as you build your team. It's so much fun to build, and it's even more fun to play with them once you get in game. And if you're thinking about making a theme team, I would encourage you to do it. It's a ton of fun. You save coins not having to get every single new player that comes out. Like this AJ Terrell is a 90 overall card with no power up, with 96 speed, and he mixed the Mannins on threshold, and he's like 60K. So he literally will play a lot like that Tre'Davious White that came out as 95 overall day. It's the same speed, much less man in zone, but he meets the thresholds, which is most important. And that's what makes theme teams so good this year, is that many positions and many attributes revolve around thresholds and not a progressive system. So that's going to be it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions about anything or I wasn't clear on something, let me know again in the comments below. And if you want to see another video in the future, or if this helped you out a lot and you want to see something else, you want me to explain something else, I would definitely love to do whatever I can for you guys to help you as best as possible. Yeah, guys, that's going to do it for me. Again, I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe if you did. It helps me get to more and more people as I make more and more videos. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video. It's been Winfrey, and I'm out. Peace.